Okay, this week we're going to study finding the equation of a line. Sometimes we have bits and pieces of the line that we know. Say that's maybe the slope. It could be it could be just 2 points. It could just be the visual representation of the line, and we need to know the algebraic representation. So that's what we're going to do this week. Is we're going to learn a new formula that's going to help us be able to determine what equation of the line. Use an equation to determine what the line looks like algebraically. Well, we know that our lines algebraically should look in slope-intercept form like y equals mx plus b. We like this form of the line because it's very easy to graph. If we have the slope and we have a point, specifically the y-intercept, then what we can do is we can easily plot the y-intercept, go rise over run with my slope, and we have the line graphed pretty easily. So this is a very important form of the line that we're going to be using quite a bit. We also need to remember that we have a formula for slope, and slope, labeled m, is equal to y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. This is just the change in y's divided by the change in x's. So what that's going to do is it's going to just subtract my 2 points, the y values of my 2 points, divide that by the difference in the x values, and that's going to give me my rate of slope as my line begins to increase or decrease. The last formula, and the one you're going to need to know for this section, is called the point-slope formula. And the point-slope formula is going to be y equals m, where m is my slope, times x minus x1 plus y1. Okay, where my x1 and my y1 are going to be pluggable points in from my line. Now I'm only going to need 1 point here to be able to do this, but I'm also going to have a slope. So we need to remember we may have to come up here. We may have to use our slope to find, or we may have to use our slope formula to find the slope before I can use the point slope formula. If we think about this, my end goal is going to be y equals mx plus b. And to get to that end goal, I'm going to have to use my slope, and I'm going to have to use my point slope formula. Okay, and this will work to find the algebraic equation of a line as you're working through these problems this week. Okay, without further ado, let's get started on doing some examples. Okay, so the first example we're going to work here is we are going to try to find the equation of the line, and we want the equation of the line that passes through 2 points, and we're going to call this point 2 comma 4 and 4 comma 3. Okay, so here we go. So we need to use this point slope formula. The point slope formula is y equals m times x minus x1 plus y1. That's going to give me, after I do a lot of work, y equals mx plus b. Okay, and that's what I want. So I want the equation of a line here in slope-intercept form. So before I do this, I need to know what my m is. Okay, I need to know what my slope is. Well, we can do that. My slope is going to be m is equal to my y2. This is my y2, the second y value. So 3 minus y1. Well, this is my y1. So 3 minus 4 over my x2. This is my x2. 4 minus my x1. So 4 minus 2. So, combining these, this is 3 minus 4. That's going to give me negative 1. And this is 4 minus 2, which is going to give me 2. So I know that my slope is negative 1/2. Well, now I can use my formula to be able to plug in and find my y equals mx plus b. So this is y equals, my slope is negative 1/2, times x minus. Now, at this point, I can pick either x1 that I want. It doesn't really matter. Since we've already got this one labeled x1, we'll go ahead and use it. So x minus x1 plus my y1. Well, if I picked x1 here, then I need to pick this for y1, so plus 4. Well, multiplication with fractions, that's no problem. It's the top times the top and the bottom times the bottom, so this is just negative 1/2 times x. Negative 1/2 times negative 2 is going to give me a positive, my 2's cancel, positive 1 plus 4. So then I get y equals negative 1/2 x plus 5. Notice that now I'm in y equals mx plus b form. So this is my final answer. Okay, my next video, my next example that we're going to be working is going to already give me my slope, and it's going to give me an ordered pair. Well, remember my formula. I want y equals mx plus b, and I use the formula y is equal to m times x minus x1 plus y1 in order to get my y equals mx plus b. Okay, it's going to simplify down to that. Well, we know that slope is the same thing as m, okay, and we know that our x1 and y1 are going to be taken from my ordered pair. Okay, so let's just start plugging in. We should be good to go here. So this is y equals my slope. My slope is equal to 1 times x minus my x1 is 2 plus my y1 is also 2. This is my x1. This is my y1. So plus 2. Distributing my 1, well, nothing is going to change here, so I get x minus 2 plus 2. I get y equals x plus 0, which is simply y equals x. Now, it should be noted that this is y equals mx plus b. It just so happens that my slope, so y equals slope, is going to be 1x. My plus b, well, b is just 0. Okay, so this is still y equals mx plus b. We just don't need all of the other stuff that we're writing. And that's it, y equals mx plus b. Okay, the next example here is going to work with the ever-dreaded fraction. So we're going to have a slope of 3, and an ordered pair. I'm going to just say OP, ordered pair of 0 and 4/3. Now, don't panic just because we have a fraction. We can work around that pretty well. Remember, I want y equals mx plus b. And I get that with the formula y equals m times x minus x1 plus y1. Well, I've got a slope. I have a x1 and I have a y1, so all I have to do is plug in. So this is just y equals, my slope is 3, x minus my x1 is 0, plus y1 is 4/3. Well, distributing my 3 times x and 3 times 0, that's just going to give me 3x plus 4/3. And I'm finished. This is y equals mx plus b. Okay, the next example is going to be given 2 pairs, 1, 3, and 2, -5. Okay. Now, remember, I want y equals mx plus b, and I get that with the formula y equals m times x minus x1 plus y1. Well, my problem here is I don't have an m. So, I need to find my m first. M is going to be equal to y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And then I can just plug in. So m is equal to y2. Well, y2 is negative 5 minus y1. That's going to give me 3. And then x2 is going to give me 2. And then x1 is going to give me 1. So 2 minus 1. So again, this is y2, x2, y1, and x1. So you can see how those kind of plug in. Well, two negatives, negative 5, negative 3, give me negative 8. 2 minus 1 gives me 1, so I just get negative 8. That's my slope. Well, I can use now my formula y equals m times x minus x1 plus y1, plug in my slope, plug in one of my values for x and y, and then I'll be good to go. It doesn't matter which point you pick, just as long as you pick the x value and the y value from that point. So, continuing this problem, I'm going to get y equals m was negative 8, times x minus, now x1. Now I need to make a decision. I'm going to pick the 1 and 3 because they're both positive. So x minus x1 is 1, and then plus y1, so that's going to be plus 3. Distributing my negative 8 gives me y equals negative 8x plus 8 plus 3. So that's going to give me y equals negative 8x plus 11. And that is y equals mx plus b. Okay, my last example is going to look like this. And that is if I have a slope of 4 and I'm given an ordered pair of 0, negative 3. I want you to notice something. In this case, my x is 0 and my y is negative 3. Now, remember that my y-intercept, so y-intercept, is always the point in which the x is equal to 0, right? So here, this ordered pair is my y-intercept. Also know that if I have y equals mx plus b, my b is my y-intercept, and my m is going to be my slope, right? So, if I have the ordered pair 0, negative 3, which is the y-intercept, and I have my slope of 4, all I have to do here is just plug it in. So y equals mx plus b, where m is 4, x plus, and my y-intercept here is negative 3, which gives me a slope-intercept of 4x minus 3. Okay? Now, it's very important to note this only works, so this only works when the ordered pair is the y-intercept. In other words, when x is equal to 0. Okay? As always, contact me if you have any questions. I'll be here to help. Thank you.